Hello, everybody. All right. Welcome to the mic stand. Today, of course, is Sunday, June the 7th, 2020, 2026. I know for maybe what a few of the parents out there, the kids are probably are out of school by this point. Um, Hopefully, everybody's had a good weekend. And of course, this is our weekly trip down Comics History Lane. Of course, before we do get started, of course, I'm going to hand it off to my co-host for a moment to give him a chance to promote. My co-host for the evening, of course, is the Metal from the Vomitorium. I'm going to give the man a chance to promote any projects he's doing, talk about any anything he wants to kind of let people know to be looking for. Metal, the floor is, as they say, all yours.
You know what's weird is like I don't even know if I could call myself from the vomitorium these days. I just shared out the link right to the Discord like I normally do, and the last link I shared in that Discord was the last time I was on here. I might actually stream on the vomitorium this week if I can find time though, because there is a new Star Rail patch, and I like last week, and I haven't even touched it. So we'll see if I can find the time to do any type of streaming over there. But lately, I've just been head deep in crafting this tabletop role-playing game. As you can even see, as my little subtext says hashtag TTRPG life under my name for xdynamischaos.com, which is where I put all of my crafted projects. You can go over there and find it. I have tons of stuff that you could get lost in for hours there. But we're trying to get this tabletop game rolling so I can run some streams with it with people like Rick, as the audience may know from Cross Comics. So, I should have already had it done before the month changed, but it has just been taking me a lot more time than I thought it was going to. So, soon.
Just dragging on, eh?
Oh, well, you jump into a project like this and you kind of have an idea of how long it's going to take, but everything always takes longer than the idea.
Yeah, I mean, well, you know what they say, about Murphy's Law and everything.
It's not even Murphy's Law, though. I mean, sure, other things have been happening. It's like you just get into it and you realize, man, this thing that I was going to keep simple, I want to be a lot more complex than it is. And then you just spend like more hours on one thing than you intended to spend on that one part of it.
And Nat Sherry here. Hello, Nat Sherry. Hope you're doing well.
Howdy.
All right. So so we've been, we plugged your game. Is there anything more you want to talk about before?
No, that's good. I mean, I would probably give people a gist of the tabletop game, but I'll probably wait until the rule book's closer to being finished, and then the next time I'm on, I'll do something like that.
Yeah, probably a good idea. Make sure you have everything set before you really put too much of it out there. Um, all right. Well, friendly reminder to everybody, as always, if you guys haven't already, if you guys can help out by liking and sharing the stream, see if we can get some more friendly people to engage, that'd be appreciated. Also, if anything here grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions, and we will try to answer the questions to the best of our ability. With that being said, let's get to our feature presentation, as it were. Which, of course, this week we are looking at books that went on sale in September of 1940 from Archie Comics. This week, as I said, as I've been talking about throughout the week here, we'll be looking at Pep Comics Volume 1, Issue 9, and Zip Comics Volume 1, Issue 9. We'll be looking at such features as The Shield, Sergeant Boyle, Scarlet Avenger, and Nevada Jones. So, with all that being said, you're ready there, Metal.
As ready as I'll be.
Alrighty then, let's get into this. Everybody. Let's see. Action Detective Adventure Pep Comics number 9. The Shield, G-Man Extraordinaire, November, and of course November being the cover date, opposed to the sale date. Look at that. Of course, the Shield, as we've talked about before on here, Archie's version of Captain America, among other characters. And then, of course, the sales page, all the nice gifts that they are, like 59 cents for swimming goggles. Don't you wish you lived in those times when stuff was that?
I don't know. That sounds like a ripoff. I think swimming goggles are proportionately cheaper today.
Let's see. The World Mike, 25 cents. And they spell it there M-I-K-E, like my name, but of course I think they mean like how I utilize the term mic or mic stand, mean like the microphone.
Yeah, okay. I just looked it up. You know how much 59 cents is today? It's
How
14
much?
bucks. I get
14
swimming goggles for like $5. That's a ripoff.
$14, and you know where you can get $5, so that's 2.8 times the amount.
Yeah, I go to Dollar General and get a pair of swimming goggles for $5. I don't need their 59-cent ones.
What do you do? Go to the inflation calculator?
Yeah. I like to have it handy when we're dealing with this because prices come up all the time. We got to remember the time it took place in.
Right, and plus, it's fun. It's fun to see those and see just how, or at least how cheap we might think it is back in those times. Until of course we look at the, inflation calculator and find out. Well, as you just pointed out, maybe it's not as cheap as we think.
Oh yeah, things are roughly 24 times as expensive. Like if you adjust it than they were back then. But with adjustment, you're like, well, what was the proportionate cost of things, right? Like how far does the dollar go for what you're spending it, or the cent go for what you're spending it on?
Netsuri had some. Netsuri, let's see. Everything's expensive these days. I have to loan my legs off to pay groceries. Okay.
Yeah, that's how it feels.
Well, I think it's interesting how Natsuri just said that. I think that's, I guess, a take on the idea that things cost an arm and a leg.
Yeah, well, here's the thing: is like if we're looking at least within my lifetime, right? So I think food was proportionately cheaper on average back then, but it was more expensive earlier in my lifetime than it is now. But overall expenses are higher. Like you have expenses now that you did not have when I was a kid. Like they just didn't even expense. So, or they didn't exist at all. So then like after you're done paying those, what you have left over for food and stuff just feels like it's more than it was before.
Yeah. All right. So, anyways, getting into the Stacy's bargain counter, the Shield G-Man Extraordinaire. The Shield G-Man Extraordinary, known in his true identity as Joe Higgins, only to the chief of the FBI, lashes out with all the fury and Herculean strength at his disposal at a new menace looming on Crimeland's horizon. The slaughter of innocents in order to add to ill-gotten gains. Betty Warren does some shopping in Stacy's department store. Hey, Betty, my arms are coming off. Why, Juju, I've just begun. Let's go to the 6th floor. I should have known better than to let Joe talk me into going with you. Oh, hush up, Juju. Here comes the elevator now. Ow, why does everyone have to pick on me? Good heavens, Juju. Look, the elevator operator. How can I with these bundles covering my face? Oh, Juju, he's dead. We better call Joe. What do you mean call Joe? Ain't I a G-man? This guy was killed by somebody on that elevator, just as he opened the door. In your gown, nosy guy. Hey, oof! Those must be the killers, and they got Juju. I must get Joe. Take him downstairs. We'll fix him.
Thought he said he was a G-man.
Yeah, he's not really fighting like a G-man, is he? You would think he'd have at least some basic form of hand-to-hand combat training, whether that's
just like boxing at all would be helpful,
Yeah, a good right to the solar plexus would really I mean, I know he hasn't had any training from like somebody like from Goku-sen or anything like that, but hey.
It was just like I was trained to do everything with a trench shovel, and I don't have my trench shovel on me. That's the excuse.
In Joe Higgins' apartment. Hello, Betty. What? I'll be right down. Joe, thank heavens you've come. Juju's down in the cellar with those killers. I'm going down after him. I'm coming with you. Okay, come on. There's no arguing with you. Oh boy. Another lady looking to put herself in danger, right?
Always.
Well, you have to say one thing for a lot of these women back in these universes of the 1940s comic book world that we're seeing. They sure were, a lot of them were sure brave.
You know why? It's because they're all city women, so they don't know the dangers of the world, and they're like, oh, well, the city's safe. I've been safe. That means any trouble that's here, I can handle it.
Well, actually,
this woman's never stared down a bear in her life.
We've seen in these comics are city women,
but most of the ones that run headfirst into danger are.
Yeah, I mean, I hope you're not forgetting about Sheena, Queen of the Jungle.
Yeah, but also Sheena has excuses for running headfirst in danger that these normal city women don't.
G-Man reminds me of Half-Life lore. Yeah. Well, okay, for anybody who doesn't understand what the term G-Man is short for government man. Basically, they're federal agents.
Yeah. And a lot of them at that time were mostly recruited after being former soldiers. So most of his combat training would have been that he served, and then after he got out of the military, he went to go become a Fed.
Right. So, anyways.
But G-Man in Half-Life is a very interesting character because Even after all the games we've added, we still have absolutely no idea who or what he is. Just that he's like the most important nefarious character in it. So I always do like thinking of G-Man as well.
Yeah. All right, so let's see. Juju looks like a cyclone hit him. Hello, Joe. What do you know? Where are you going now, Joe? To see the president of the department store, Nathaniel Stacy. Just what I was gonna suggest. There must be a madman loose in the store. Uh-oh, something else has happened. Oh, mommy, my mommy's sick. That woman's face is completely burned away with acid. That's got to be a horror. That's got to be a horrific. That kid's got to be what, about 5 years old, right there?
I mean, it depends on genetics. That could be as old as 10, depending on how their family ages. It could be anywhere, elementary school age.
Yeah, but look, and then having to watch his mom get, I guess, supposedly burned by acid. Quite a graphic scene for a comic, isn't it?
I mean, not for that time.
Yeah.
I maybe later on, as we get more past the golden age into the silver age, where you have the Comics Code Authority being like, well, we can't show kids that. But here, I don't know, kids see some pretty violent stuff all the time.
Yeah. But then kids also, I think in some respects, kids were also probably a lot more mature at this time too, because they were coming out of the Depression and all that, where like some of the older ones.
A lot of the kids after that had to deal with all the Cold War stuff too, right? So it's like, I think it was less about the kids being more resilient, though I would agree they're more resilient than the kids of today. But I think these same factors I'm about to say play into it. It's the fact that they started getting coddled by even these very companies. Like, they didn't start becoming that way until after people are like, oh, well, kids can't see this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Due in part to, of course, the Comics Code Authority.
Yeah, I mean, look on the other side. A lot of the standards in Japan are very similar to our pre-Comics Code Authority standards for what kids can see. So it's like,
oh yeah, so much so, I hear commentators like Momo Sensei, among others, talking about like how, and Hirohei and all that, and talking about how people in the West are trying to force, and we've talked about this too, where you have a lot of these Westerners, identity obsessed fans, IOFs, as Momo Sensei calls them, really trying to like force Japan to like conform to their views instead of just leaving them alone to their own creativity.
Yeah, and it's a combination of the fact that it's just because Japan is popular, and B, they were coddled for so long, right? Because if you could also compare to how graphic some of French comics can be, right? The bande dessinée, and they're not actually that much different than the Japanese comics at times, but BDs aren't super popular, so nobody here is trying to censor them, all right, because they're just not like proliferating around.
Mm-hmm.
And France, despite being another Western country, never went through the same coddling in their media because they didn't have things like the Comics Code Authority and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So like they're a very interesting middle ground of looking at it and be like, there's no excuses. You look at their comic industry, there's just no excuses.
Mm-hmm. Now, Terry has something to say here. Those woke Western hardcore fans don't know their Arce from their elbow.
I agree.
And I just modified it just so we wouldn't, RC is just another way of saying it. I think it's
Well, if
actually the
you're
way
trying
the
to say
British.
it traditionally, it's just arse, and part of that is because of the rhotic addition to the original word.
Yeah. Well, it's funny that that's how I heard it. You know, and they show this clip every now and again where there was it was actually the Shockmasters, Fred Ottman's debut in WCW back in, I think it was in 93, 94, where he came like crashing through, and I think they said something where Davey Boy Smith had said that he fell on his arse in the
Yeah,
segment.
I don't know. I'm just saying, like, very Irish, have a lot of Irish family. Also have a lot of friends from across the pond over Britain.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just the Irish who use that word. It's all over those islands.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very common to hear somebody tell you to shove it up your arse.
Yeah. So Natsuri follows up with they should leave Japan alone as they are a different country, different laws.
Absolutely agree. See, I consider myself a tourist, but in the healthy way of I really like their culture and want to enjoy it. And I want
Right.
their stuff to stay the same so I can continue to enjoy my tour. I don't like these like awful people who are trying to litter and change the culture I'm enjoying,
Right. Yeah. Exactly. I mean, there are certain factors in there that you just enjoy, when you engage with them. So, anyways, continuing on with the story here. Don't cry, Sonny. Tell me what happened. I want to help you. A man give me a gun. I shooted water on Mummy, and she got sick. Very clever. Now we had better see Mr. Stacy. You two stay here. I want to talk to him alone. I'm Joe Higgins of the FBI. I suppose you know about those killings in your store. Great grief! Yes, those racketeers told me they'd do it, but I didn't believe them. They asked me to join their protective agency, even threatened me with death. Who are they? I won't tell. They'll kill me. I'm going to meet their demands. Why the yellow? No need for that, Juju. I'll tell you all about it. Yeah, ha ha. Just tie my shoelace. Joe, I can pretend to be a messenger from the Shakedown gang and have Stacy call them up. You can tap his wire and find out who the gang is. Nothing doing. I don't want you mixed up in this. Well, I must do some more shopping. Come on, Juju. That little minx hasn't got me focused. She's going to try, or hasn't got me fooled. She's going to try it anyway with Juju, and it's not a bad idea. Mr. Smarty Pants Higgins thinks he knows it all. Juju, you get wiretappers at the electrical department and meet me by the ladies' room. Okay, Betty. later. On your way, sister. I ain't on the loose. It's me, Juju. Wow, look at that. Look at that. Look at that kind of change there.
Oh yeah, she cleaned up nice.
So,
You know, I was thinking too, from
oh,
all her earlier look. Obviously, this predates the character by like 45 years, but the character was designed to go back to fashion of this time. But she reminds me of Carmen Sandiego.
oh yeah. Well, yeah. That in the earlier dress there.
Yeah. And you know, because Carmen Sandiego as a character was supposed to be a very like noir-based character, harkening back to fashion from the 30s and 40s. So like you would expect to randomly see somebody dressed like that in one of these comics because it's time appropriate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, she went from that look to the kind of more, you know, attention grabbing look, as it were.
Yeah, you know, from like business day attire to evening wear, night on the town.
Yeah. All right. So, anyways, as we continue on here,
Meanwhile, he's wearing the same thing he woke up in.
yeah. Wow. Wow. What a getup. I never would have recognized you. I hope it fools Stacy as well. Here, here. Can't you read that private sign? Stow the chatter, Lug. What I got to tell you is very private. Oh, look at that. Look at how she just got up on the desk right there. The mob, the mob sent me down. We're, we're raising your protection dues. Get 'em on the phone if you got any squawks. It's outrageous. Meanwhile, Juju taps the telephone wires. That Betty is plenty smart. A phone call oughta be coming through any minute.
You know what they say? It's not a hunter's fault for using the tools available to him. It's the prey's fault for falling to it.
Mm-hmm. So you're playing tap. Okay, let's both play. Oh, probably the reason why Joe didn't want to get her involved because of what just happened right there. At that moment, this is the main phone cable. If he calls from any phone on that floor, I'll pick it up. That call should have come through by this time. Something must have happened. I'll have a look. Oh, I have a feeling he's not. What do you think? You think that he's going to be happy with what he finds out?
I doubt it.
Let's see. Good gosh, something has happened. Hey, wake up. What hit you? That girl. I was about to phone those thugs. I was about to phone. Those thugs came in, and that's all I remember. Meanwhile, I've got to keep leaving a trail behind. Joe may pick it up.
I get trying to like cover up as little of the art as possible, But those are like the tiniest, most awkward placed little thought bubbles leading up to the main thought balloon that I've ever seen.
Yeah, I mean, I even barely picked it up sight wise. I'm looking right at it.
I would have went backwards behind her head because nobody cares if you cover up a little bit of like the window trimming, and I would have just made some bigger bubbles curving to the front of the words, to the word
Yeah.
I've.
Well, you know what they say about hindsight, right?
Hindsight, this is something editorial should have caught in the penciling phase.
Oh, look at this! Look at this little trick. You see what she's doing right there?
Yeah, a little Hansel and Gretel, leaving some breadcrumbs behind on the trail.
Oh, that's not a breadcrumb. That's her shoe. You see that?
Well, I mean, it's a breadcrumb that lets you know who it was. You're gonna recognize her shoe, aren't you?
Yeah.
Like it has to be her.
Let me
It's a
out.
size 8. It's a little bit bigger than your average woman's.
Let me out of here, you wretch. Sit still or I'll slug you. Yeah, men back then weren't shy about talking about slugging women, were they?
Well, they're bad guys. They shouldn't be shy about slugging anyone.
Yeah. Betty's strategy works. Hope the trail doesn't end. Uh-oh, there's Betty's shoe. Tie him up. We'll finish him off soon. Okay. Say, the phone's ringing. Must be the big shot. What? You saw the shield? Trailing? Us here? Don't worry. We'll be ready for him when he comes.
That's like the thing I never understood about modern day discourse. When like a bad guy does a horrible thing, and a certain people in the crowd are like, "Oh, how dare they?" I'm like, "Yes, they're a bad guy. That's the exact reaction you should have. Bad guys do bad things."
That's why they're called the bad guys. I kind of paraphrase Wild Bill from GI Joe there. Anyways, this must be the place. And now for a quick visit. It's him, the shield. He's here. Ha ha! We've got a nice surprise for him. Must have lost my key, gentlemen. Give it to him. There's 6,000 degrees of heat. It'll burn him to a crisp. All it did was to knock him cold. The shield is bound, hand and foot. So you're awake. Huh? Well, don't try to escape. Hey, Crunch! Let's go. I got all the soup planted. If you break your bonds, that knife will chop them in half.
This is why, the Shield. Well, a lot of people want to say he's like Captain America, and there are definitely crossovers because Captain America fell into this area back then. He's kind of more like Superman at the time because Superman wouldn't be getting flight in like the serials until this year, right? And then not in the comics for 3 years when they finally bring it back in. So a lot of like his durability and stuff like that, his strength was definitely far more akin to like Archie's Superman than anything.
Hmm. Yeah.
But I think, obviously you've read on this show the Superman from this time. A lot of people are just so hung up on modern Superman that they forget that that's about the ballpark Superman was when he first started.
Right. I mean, he was barely learning to fly around this time.
Yeah. He was
In the
still
comic.
jumping over buildings at best.
Well, I mean, I don't know if you were in the chat like a couple weeks ago when we're of course doing DC from September of 1940, but we read basically from Superman #7. We read Perry White's first appearance in the comics.
Yeah. I was there.
Yeah. So, anyways, getting back to the story here. And now we're going back to Stacy's to do a little fancy work on the elevator. So long, sucker. He's got some trick up his sleeve, and he wouldn't leave us. Alone like this. Those cans all around the room look like. Say, what's ticking? This room's full of TNT, and that's a time bomb ticking. We'll all be blown to bits unless I've got to break these bonds and chance it. If I can only catch the knife before it hits them. Whew, that was a close shave. Oh, wow. That's something there. If that is a long knife right there, he's catching it with his arm. I mean, well, I would hope that he's super strong because.
Well, I mean, a flamethrower just did nothing to him. And I get that's burns, but that's still destroying skin. I think if he could survive the flamethrower, he can catch what looks like a double wide guillotine.
First, I'll get rid of this toy. Now to get you both loose.
And then he just rips the wood right in half, like I don't even question that he could catch that.
Yeah. I guess now we'd see that. We've got to get out of here. Out of here. The danger isn't over yet. I'm coming. We didn't get out. We didn't get out any too soon. How did you know where we were? Where's Joe? Joe's back at Stacy's looking things over. And that reminds me, that's where I ought to be now. Hey, wait for me. You'll need help. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought that was Betty. What? Hey, wait for me. You'll need help. At Stacy's, the killers proceed with their deadly work. Just one more chop, and the funeral parlors start working overtime. Such subtlety, right?
I mean, have they ever considered dealing with their not so deadly work?
Inside the elevator. Hey, these controls ain't working. We're falling. We'll be killed. The Shield arrives at Stacy's to see the elevator plunging to its doom. The murdering hounds. There's just a bare chance I can save those people.
I guess lucky for him, it's one of the extremely rare elevator shafts that happen to have windows.
Yeah. My. The Shield plunges through the window. I've got to act fast and waits for the elevator at the bottom of the shaft. I didn't get here a second too soon. The Shield prevents the elevator from crashing. Look at that, Superman-esque.
I think those people are still severely injured if some of them aren't dead. It's like, yeah, some of the almost guaranteed death of an elevator crash is the fact that the elevator will, especially those older ones, will probably fall apart and crumble on top of them afterwards. But it's actually the acceleration that ends up doing the most harm. And if you come to a complete stop after accelerating, that is acceleration. A lot of it. Fast. And they're still coming to a complete stop there.
Yeah, we've talked before about how the creators of this time were not, let's just say they were not scientific geniuses. Or if any of them were, very few of them were. Let's just say it that way. But yeah, what we know about physics and all that, force equals mass times acceleration here. A sudden stop would probably just squash these people.
Yeah, because it's going from whatever velocity they're at to zero immediately. It's also like some Superman writers were better than others later on, as once we get to the point that multiple people are writing serials, movies, stuff like that. So like some people would just have Superman catch somebody that's falling immediately, but that would still be a sudden stop for them. Some of them are smart and they have Superman like swoop down to meet their acceleration and then slow them down in like rotational velocity, right?
Rather than just waiting for it to come full on and catch it.
The smartest one ever was in the movie where Lois jumps and Clark runs all the way down and he uses his super breath to slow her fall. And then she lands onto the canopy of the building's door, right, which saves him from having to be Superman and proving her right, but also was the safest way to save her.
Right. Well, also too, I've seen Superman do that kind of thing numerous times in cartoons over the years too.
Oh yeah. So it's like some writers were just smarter than others. It's like this would actually save them. That would probably kill them. Awful movie. One of the best scenes for saving people when it comes to acceleration is Iron Man 3, where everybody's like coming out of the plane and he kind of like grabs them and starts linking them together so that their shared drag would slow them down before they hit the water, right? Like everybody grab hands and legs and stuff. Very smart scene, unfortunately, in an otherwise pretty bad movie.
Well, we got a couple of comments here. Let's go ahead and so I've said this already, but the original Superman was a villain who looked like the average angry white
businessman that did evil.
Well, yeah. Well, I think what
if we're talking about like the original, like the bald Superman that predates the one that like we know now, yeah, he basically was a super strong Lex Luthor before Lex Luthor.
Right. Yeah, he was depicted as a villain until they changed it up for. And Fitzgildo's here. Hey everybody. Hey Fitzgildo, thanks for popping in. Barrel of monkeys, as Tony called it. Yep.
Yeah, it's been a while, but I do believe that is what he called it because he linked them all together like a barrel of monkeys.
And we got one more thing from the shows right here. Originally, Superman was a bald guy with psychic powers.
Yeah. So like all of his strength and stuff came from the psychic powers. They kind of pulled back to that, except without giving him the more extended stuff with Superboy later on, because Superboy is a clone that uses both Clark and Lex's DNA, and like part of Lex's design is definitely inspired by the original Superman, and you kind of get that character back still as a good guy because all of Superboy's powers are basic, functionally tactile telekinesis.
Yeah. And you're talking about Connor Kent of the
Connell.
post crisis, and present day Super. Well, I guess he wouldn't be present. I think Jonathan Kent is actually Superboy now, but as the saying goes, the less said about that, the better, I guess. Right? He was an evil, bald businessman with psychic. Yeah. Anyways, back to the story here. Oh wait, actually. All right. Yeah. Okay. The shield. He escaped. Watch my smoke. So the mice want to play hide and seek. If we can get to the first floor, we'll lose ourselves in the crowd. I don't think I'll soil my hands on those vermin. I'll just reverse the direction of these escalator stairs. That's a very interesting idea, huh? I can't run another step. We ain't getting anywhere. These steps keep going down while we're trying to run up. Better yell for the garbage department, lady. Police! Police! Holy mackerel, the shield has the whole gang. Not quite. There's one more little detail to iron out. Take care of them, Juju. But Shield, where are you going?
Okay, I'm going to complain artistically just for a little bit, just for these panels right here. I know that they worry about page and ink weight or whatever, but this would be barely anything added to the page. It wouldn't be over-rendering. Add some jotted lines to the steps of the escalator. They looks like a staircase. Just some slots, just some straight hashed lines, and it would look more like an escalator. That's all I ask for. It doesn't take much work. You could do it in like 5 minutes. Yeah, come on.
All right. So, anything more you want to say about that before we continue on with the story?
Well, and also the physics of reversing the escalator is a little questionable. Escalators could go in either direction. An up and down escalator are functionally built the same. The mechanism that you have to do on the inside to get it to go the other direction is a little complicated, and you probably couldn't just do it with like strength alone. But I'll let that slide. It's a comic, and it's a fun sequence all the same. It's a nice idea. I think it's fun.
Okay.
I'm more concerned about the art here. On come on, you could have put some lines to make it more like an escalator.
All right. Alrighty then. So as we continue on then. Hello, Mr. Stacy. Remember me? What do you want? I want you to sign a little note saying that you were behind all these killings and the shakedown business was just an alibi. Why should I want to kill those people? To ruin business? You knew that if the business became bad enough, the other stockholders would be glad to sell out at ridiculous prices. Ah, so what a twist there, huh there, Metal?
Oh, I mean, it's pretty classic, but yeah, I would say at least in this story, it didn't seem like it was going in that direction.
Mm-hmm.
If you're gonna pull a twist here, though, it is the one to pull, but it does
Right.
seem like it comes out of nowhere.
Right. Then you buy all the stocks at a fraction of their value, making you the sole owner of Stacy's. Once that happened, the terrorism would stop and the business could go back to normal. Unseen, Stacy's foot locates a hidden button.
Like this is kind of how the mob works, but at the corporate level, right? Instead of
Uh-huh.
like sending some people that are unassociated with them to cause trouble in your business, so you start paying the mob to basically run your security and business for you. He's like, oh no, 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 I'm just gonna make people not want to own this place. I'll buy it dirt cheap. Then once it's mine, all the trouble stops.
A wall falls between them. Hey, I'll be. You fool. You thought you could outwit me? Boy, he sure caught me napping that time. He's gone. There must be a secret door somewhere. Ah, it sounds hollow. This is it. So, a secret passage leading to the roof. It's a good thing I kept this plane. Oh, it's a good thing I kept this plane handy for a quick getaway. Very neat. Very neat indeed. I'll head it off. Wait up, Stacy. We've got things to talk about. Look at that. He just caught the plane by the wheels there. Whoa.
Okay, but what stops the momentum of the plane just taking him with it?
Yeah. Unless he
I had
just
this problem. I was watching Civil War again just because Marsupial had it on. I really don't like Marvel Civil War, but I completely forgot about the scene where he tries to take off in the helicopter and just barefoot, not holding anything yet, Captain America grabs the helicopter and it stops it from taking off. Like, I get it. Once he's holding the railing with his other hand and he's hanging off the building, he's strong enough that he's not going to split in half or anything from that. His grip is strong enough. But before that, what stops the helicopter from just taking him with it? He does not have the mass to stop the helicopter.
yeah. Well,
He
I
can't
mean,
fly either to push his
comic book
mass in the other
creators back
direction.
then like to really stretch things, didn't they?
Yeah, like I could get it if your character has the power to fly, because based on how flight has to work, you're having to push off of something, even if it's something we can't understand. So somebody who could fly could stop a plane from moving or something, or could stop themselves from being pushed by a tank or whatever, without having to worry about the tactile strength of the ground underneath them. But like, he should just take off with the plane.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, that's the fanciful world of comics right there, right? Right, Metal?
I guess.
All right. So anyway,
Give him
continue.
flight then.
Yeah. All right. So, anyways, while below, and you rounded up this gang of killers single-handed with a little help from the Shield. Humph. Yeah, he helped a little. Hey, who's that? It's Stacy, president of the department store. Don't let the shield hit me again. I'll admit anything. You, you won't have to. This confession of yours is enough to send you and your killers to the chair. And what do they mean by the chair, Metal?
Oh, good old Zappy. You know,
Yeah.
our friend that took care of the unwanted people in the world.
Yeah. Did you get him? The shield just told me all about Stacy. Well, it's high time you showed up. A fine G-man you are. Next day, in Hoover's office. Hoover, what Hoover do you think they're talking about there?
Well, given the time, I'm going to say President Hoover.
Well, couldn't it be J. Edgar Hoover as well, or?
Could be.
Hmm. But how do you figure it was? But how do you figure it was Stacy, Joe?
Yeah,
Well,
actually, maybe that'd be sense because I think what Herbert was in politics at like at the time, but he was like so young. Yeah, it probably would just be J. Edgar. I don't think he'd be important enough for anybody to.
well, remember Herbert Hoover was our president from 1929 to 1933. He was the one right before.
Oh, that's right. I'm confusing him with his place. Yeah, he'd be out of office by then. Yeah.
Um, well, those killers were tipped off about the shield, and there were only two people who knew he was on the case: Joe Higgins and Stacy. A bit of a shading issue there with her hair. Hair looks more like in that first panel right there. Her hair looks more white than black.
I think it's just because they're trying to separate it from the black behind her.
Hmm.
But they just didn't color it. Like they should have used the blue that they usually use for the inside of her hair to separate it instead of like the yellow of the door. I would say that's probably more of a coloring issue than anything.
Right. Joe, Juju, come with me right away to Stacy's. It's terribly important. Don't ask questions. Wasn't it nice of the board of directors to give us free shopping? Oh boy. Women nuts. A fine reward for helping clear up the case. Metal, your thoughts on this particular scene?
Oh, I don't know. I feel like with all the trouble they went through, giving her free shopping could bankrupt them. Also, like I was thinking about this earlier with him carrying the cases, and they haven't improved much, even though they have newer elevators in those older buildings. Those multi-story shopping centers in like New York and stuff are awful. Like modern shopping malls that are spread off only a couple stories are much better because you're going up and down stairs. Nobody's using the elevator between most of the floors because there's only so many elevators and so much elevator room. And you're just carrying countless whatever you picked up from like the top floor all the way down to the bottom. Horrible experience, which is also why women always have to take a man with them because they want somebody to carry all of that stuff.
Right.
But even if you go by yourself, horrible experience. But that's just like New York's crowded. You have to go to those type of centers.
Yeah. And at this time, of course, New York was the comic hub of America. like a lot of the major companies were based out of New York at this time.
I mean, there was quite a bit in Chicago and in Cleveland, but even then, most of them still wrote their stories out of New York anyway, just because they knew how popular. It's like everybody loved New York.
Mm-hmm. All right, so let's wrap this story up here. Let's see before we get on to the next one here. So, the secret of the Shield revealed in Shield Wizard Comics, on sale now. The Shield G-Man Extraordinary appears every month in Pep Comics.
It's actually kind of funny because, like, if you think about it, for the longest time, even in the nation, but like foreigners and stuff, you think about the United States, New York City is the city you would think about. I don't know if that's the case anymore. I think the popularity of New York City has declined, especially because of the decline of New York City. But I think even like places like LA are probably more of what people think of the United States now than they do of New York City. Maybe even places like Dallas, Texas are starting to get up there. Chicago's definitely up there for sure. I think that's probably higher than Dallas, but it's like I don't think it's just purely everybody thinks of the NYC anymore.
All right. All right. So overall impressions of this story, Metal.
It was all right. You know, it's just like a standard Shield story. It's fun. Shield's always fun.
Yeah, you had a couple of issues with it, though, right?
Yeah, but my biggest issue, other than the plane bothered me, but my biggest issue is more art. Like, there's a couple spaces, like the escalators, where it's like, if you just took a minute more, those could have looked more like escalators, you know? Like, and it wouldn't even have weighed down your page too much more.
All right. All right. So, anyways, let me move down to Sergeant Boyle here. Our next story we'll get into.
I won't fault it for the physics of the escalator, though, especially because like we tried to think about what information was available at the time. Escalator was still pretty new as a technology. It wasn't like everywhere, and you probably wouldn't be able to find a book on escalators in your library, like because of the patent information, and everything. Like, I think it's reasonable for like your average person to just not understand how the mechanics of an escalator works. Oh, now you can find that information super easy, be it library or the internet. Like, it wouldn't matter. You can find a book on the operation of escalators, like in any library.
Okay, and before we get into this story, I do need to step off camera for a moment. I will be right back, but if you can talk to the chat for a moment, and while I'm gone, maybe promote anything you want to promote, or just.
I mean, I physically can talk to the chat. That is an ability that I have. You know, I don't know if the chat wants to talk to me, but it's an option.
Anyways, you get what I'm saying. Anyways, I'll be right back.
Yeah, yes, the ability of many. I don't know. I think there's a lot of people who can talk to chat. You know, like we get the confirmation bias of how many people stream and do talk to chat. How many people stream are purely just relying on chat. But then we have to think about how many people out there who don't stream, right? Or if you do throw them on, that nobody's there and they wouldn't know how to actually interact with chat if they tried. There's a lot of asocial people out there in the world, you know? Like having chat open under the video. Yeah. Oh, I like monologuing though. You know, like I don't need chat to interact with. It's nice. It makes the video more interactive. It makes people feel like there's a reason to show up and chat. But I could just sit there and ramble and talk to myself all day and it wouldn't be a problem. I think monologuing is probably an even handier talent to have, but obviously, if you're going to be making any type of conversive content, you need to be able to have the skills to hold a conversation. And when you did stream, you had it on your other screen. Yeah, I think that's usually where I had it too. I probably killing my computer even faster by continuing to have 2 streams running, because I think part of it is my graphics card is starting to go. I think that's also probably the reason why my fan is so loud, is because my graphics card is starting to go. But I would often have OBS up on my second monitor and whatever I'm doing on my main one. And I would have chat docked right on the side of the stream itself, on the side of the monitor that was between both of them. So it would be right there in the center and have the camera right above it. So when I was looking at chat, it would look like I was looking at the camera and get that type of interaction there. And then I could easily just scan my periphery for both sides of things. See, I have a dying GPU in your computer. Yeah, it just happens eventually. And CPU, just your CPU rendering. I don't think I could. I have a laptop, so I don't think the CPU in here could go. I have to use the built-in graphics card for rendering. That's my only option for encoding.
All right, well, I'm back now. Let's get caught up on some of these chats here. Ability of many. I'm taking this is from some of the conversations you were just having while I was gone.
Oh yeah, because I said I have the capability of talking to chat. That's what that was a reply of.
Yeah. I like having the chat open under the video. Let's see. And when I did streams, I had it on my other screen. All right.
Yeah, I was actually talking about where I had my chat docked in OBS. Funny enough, having StreamYard window on the same window I would normally have OBS, the chat is naturally where I would have mine docked anyway. So it's kind of like in the natural spot I'm used to.
I have a dying GUI in my computer.
CPU, which is your graphics processing unit.
Oh, yeah, okay. I just use CPU. And then of course, why do you think that video talking about the best death battle for the medic got so many views? Is it the thumbnail?
Yeah, this is talking about one of his videos. It's probably multiple things. You probably just managed to hit your search engine optimization with that video. Between the thumbnail, title, topic. I mean, Death Battle is obviously very popular, so like it helps to have a topic people actually want to watch. But you can have one of those things down, and that doesn't mean people are going to show up. So you probably hit all the checks you needed to start to get some type of traction. And the thumbnail is a big one. More people look at a thumbnail than they look at the title of the video, but then the title of the video is the next thing they look at. So, you got to grab people's attention in that order.
Mm-hmm. All right. So with all that being said, of course, now let's get back to so now we're going to head over to Europe in 1940. We're going to look at the adventures of Sergeant Boyle of the British Army. How that work? Sergeant Boyle declared an open city, Paris falls before the onslaught of the Germans, with fast mechanized forces cutting them off from the rear. Sergeant Boyle and his squad find themselves isolated in the midst of the enemy. Get out of sight into these woods. Get moving, and you'll spend the rest of the war in concentration camp.
Oh no, not a camp where all we do is play concentration all day. That sounds miserable.
I'm not sure that's actually what it is, but hey, whatever.
Yeah, you know what? It would be better than what a concentration camp actually was.
Yeah. Boy, they went through our lines before Paris like a dose of salt. Dose of salts. They had us. They had us 4-1. Wait, what chance did we have? It's Captain Twerp. Hey, Twerp. Captain Twerp. uh, it's Miles and the boys.
It's so funny, because I don't think that's his actual last name, but it is a very, very military thing that, like, once you get in there, you just kind of get like a nickname, and even if you get promoted up, as long as like the person doesn't feel offended by their nickname, people still just like refer to them by their rank and their nickname.
But you don't think Twerp is his actual last name there, right? Is that what
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think Twerp is anybody's last name. Maybe there might be somebody out there whose last name is Twerp. Typically, it's just something you call like a smaller, scrangly guy, you know?
Right. A guy you would more naturally bully or something.
I'm actually kind of curious now. I'm going to look to see if there's anybody with the surname Twerp. Maybe it is, you know?
When did you clear out of Paris? About 20 minutes ago, and I was just 2 jumps and a hop ahead of the first German.
Yes, there's nobody registered in the U.S. with the surname Twerp.
Well, for all we know, it could be a European name of some type. Maybe,
but that didn't come up in my search. So, yeah.
Refugees, poor souls. These woods must be full of them. Even the French government is on the run. You boys better look hot. The Germans are all over these woods, hunting for stray soldiers and political enemies. Oh. Thanks, Pop. Hope to get through okay, too. See, there they go. See, there they go again. There's little chicken cute, too. Oh, boy. The way they're running out, or what... Metal, any thoughts on what they may have in mind for that young little lady there?
Well, I'm pretty sure whatever they're thinking is dirtier than what's going on in my head, but, you know, I've got ideas.
Yeah.
You know, there's things called the spoils of war.
Uh-huh. Oh, and I think we're about to see some here. You know, it's funny because, you know, obviously I've only been reading. I've really only been getting into these comics, you know, in the last few years here. And prior to here, I think there were only a couple other stories where there was somewhat of an allusion to, you know, an SA situation.
Yeah. Normally they wouldn't touch it unless like you're doing something that's like really historical, and even I'm talking about like technically this is current to the time that's being written. We're talking about like say when the Goths were sacking the Mediterranean or whatever, right? Maybe you'd get something like that in that. Though this is something that happened, unfortunately, in war all throughout human history, right? It's one of the reasons why you want to keep your women and children as far away from the battlefield as possible, because part of what happens in war is that you dehumanize your enemy. So if you do find somebody, they become a spoil of war.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, it's funny. One of the animes I'm watching right now for the umpteenth time is Yu Yu Hakusho, my all-time favorite. And of course, we're working our way through the chapter, and I'm of course in the midst of the Chapter Black saga.
Yeah, yeah.
And the Chapter Black revolves around a tape showing all just the most evil, heinous aspects of humanity on display. So, in that, so
Yeah, the thing is, like, as awful it is, men weren't immune to this, especially in the past. Sometimes, if the people were just like that heated, and there were no women around for them to take a spoil, sometimes they would take the men as spoils too before they killed them. Like a lot of them just didn't care.
a la Sodom and Gomorrah.
If you want to call it that, sure.
Yeah. Oh, plop. Okay, Fritz. She'll be a good girl. Won't you, cutie? Excuse me, please. Do you know what time it is? Get out of here. I'm a little hard of hearing. Come again, please. Please. I said, beat it. Scram. Pop. Scram o'clock. Oh, that's late. Nice going, sister. Ah, my leg. Pow! You risked your life for me. Why? Maybe it's just because I like blondes. Come on. Oh boy. But if they find you with me, you'll be shot. They've been trying to do that for a long time and had no luck. Thanks a lot for the duds, Pop. Don't mention it. Good luck, lad.
It's like, you'll be shot. It's like, yes, this is war. You know, they're going to try to shoot me anyway.
Yep. Just what I was thinking. Just what I was thinking. Uh, they've been they've been hunting down and killing most of us refugees from Vienna. They're holding hands now. Hmm. How do you like our twerp? Not bad, eh? When you boys are finished, I'd like to wash my stockings. I've been thinking that a man can't be ducking bullets all his life. Gotta think of the future. Interesting time to have such a discussion, wouldn't you say, Metal?
Nah, I think it's. I mean, the fact that there's just a woman around is going to prompt that discussion. But like you're out with the guys, especially in a dangerous situation. These are the type of things you start to talk about in general. It's also why like gallows humor forms in dangerous situations. You need some levity to take your mind off of the danger.
Before I married my third, I used to talk like that. Take it from me, James is hard luck.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe because he doesn't think that much about the future and who he's getting involved with, and whether they're compatible is why he's had his third.
Yeah. Oh, what? Did somebody say something about, well, why did he have his third?
No, but he said before he married his third, he used to think like that. I'm like, well, the fact that you don't think about the future might be why you were on your third, you know?
Watching Mike pull off an accent I hear every day just made my day. Well, thank you for that. I really do try to make, when I'm reading these comics and stuff like that, I try to be as authentic as possible. I try to vary the voices and do the voices and do the actions to the best of my ability, because I want to give 100%. I want to make it as real for you as I would like it to be for me. I like to bring the experience of what we're reading to full on life. If I can get you guys to feel like you're there and experiencing it, then that's my goal. What do you say to what I just said there, Metal?
I mean, it's your prerogative, you know. My problem is like I'm usually hesitant to jump into accents when reading this stuff. Like, obviously, we know that these are mostly European people, right? But like, I don't know what background the person has half the time, unless it's obvious given their surname or they specifically say it. So I almost don't like to assert an accent onto them. The few times that I do actually voice with you.
Right.
But it's fun, to have different voices. So that part I definitely agree with. It's just up to you that you like to assert which accent the character has.
Well, I'm just trying. I'm just trying based on what I know and so, or what I've come to learn over the years and stuff like that. So
I know there've been times where it's like, oh, obviously that person is speaking French, and you've asked me to be the French speaker just because my French pronunciation and accent's a lot better. So there are times where it is pretty obvious what accent they're supposed to have.
Right. Well, you volunteered. I've had RJ and Apex volunteer to be the woman sometimes as well. And again, I do.
I did that one time. What was it? I can't remember her name. She was like Madam Evil or something. Like, she had like a really obvious villain name.
Madam, was it a Black X story maybe?
I think it was the Black X. Yeah. What was her name?
Yeah, Madam Doom.
Madam Doom. Yeah, I did her, and I was kind of going into like an Yzma from the Emperor's New Groove territory.
Yeah, Madam Doom is part of the Centaur. No, actually, Quality Group. Yeah, so it's immersive. Yeah, well, that's what I try to make it. All right, so getting back to the story then here. I've been through the mill, boil plenty. And this is and this is different. This is the real thing. She's smart, a quick thinker, and other things too. Well, so long, boys. See you all in England. I hope we're heading for the railroad. Boy, is he got it? Has he got it bad? But why are you doing all this for itty bitty me? Shucks, can't you see? I want to get to someplace where you'll be safe. The station's a mile down. You'll never make it, 'cause she's due any minute. Thanks. We'll try anyway. Here she comes. Darn, and we've only got about 800 yards to go. Let's see how fast you can run. We'll make it yet. We have strict orders. No passengers. You've got room for this little girl. Come on, be a pal. Okay, let her go. What's here, old meanie? What happened now? Conductor or not, you're still getting on. Come on. I'll write to you at the American Embassy. Goodbye. Oh, I forgot to kiss you for all you've done. Hiya, Boyle. Came along to see if I couldn't change your mind. Twerk! The signal guy said we couldn't we couldn't make that train. Hey, we caught it. What's that knocking? Hey, Twerk, come here. Let's get this straight. The bridge is sabotaged, so it won't hold any weight of the train. Why? I don't know. But while they thought I was unconscious, I heard them sending out the orders. We've got to stop that train. And there's a secret airport down the hill. Step on it. Hey, the wires are down. Can't signal them. If anything happens to her, it's my fault. I got her into this. I put her on that train, and I've got to get her off. I hope they give us a plane after. After all, I'm a captain, ain't I? Contact. We'll bring it back as good as new. You'd better. It is old Tarnow's private plane. I keep on signaling him, but he doesn't pay any attention. I've got to land. Land? Where are you gonna land? On the train. Whoa! We'll throttle down to the same speed as the train and get her down. There's the bridge, and right up ahead, women. Phooey! Why did I have to get into this? The engineer's gone. No wonder they didn't stop. Gosh! He fixed the brake too. I can't stop it. Hey, twerp, lock the car brakes and separate the coupling. So, and what's a coupling metal?
Oh, it's the attachment between the cars that allows momentum basically to carry forward. That goes all the way from the engine, coupled each one to every single compartment down to the caboose.
All right. So we, of course, continue on here.
And the best part, if you actually understand how physics works, is while the velocity is continued by the engine of the train pulling things forward, if you decouple, it will still go for quite a while until friction eventually slows it down to a halt on its own. So if you know there's going to be a crash or something, typically the safest way to slow the rest of the car down would be to detach the engine from it. And the more cars you have, the more mass pushing down onto the tracks, causing friction to slow it down faster.
Interesting analysis there.
I like trains.
Yeah. Thank you. Righto, I got it locked. Don't separate the cars till I get over there. Too late, I got it out. Nice going, you fathead.
I love calling people fathead. Fathead is such a fun insult.
I'm sorry, old pal.
It's more fun, actually. It was who actually had one himself, but he loved to call other people that. My Uncle Al would always call people fat neck. He's like, nice going, fat neck.
Fat neck. Kind of reminds me of the idea of if somebody was to try to stick their own head up their butt and then a head come out again with another layer of skin.
Maybe. He was just always on about the neck, like one of the ways he'd come in, he's like, you got a fat lump on the back of your neck. He was talking about your head, but being a fat lump was like as good as your head was useful for. So
that reminds me of a dub line that Linda Young performed in Yu Yu Hakusho at the beginning of the chapter Black Saga, in which she commented how that lump that's 3 feet above your arse, and then in his case more like 2 feet in his.
Yeah. This is like you've got a head, but it's as useful as just having a lump there.
I love trains like bees like nectar.
Same. Yes.
The French cabinet. Gosh, how did they get here? Why, it's Captain Earp. How did you know the government was moving from Paris to Bordeaux? Twerp! Hero! He saved the government! Poor kid. She's been through a lot. She needs me to take care of her. Who is he? Ving Twerp? I've been trying to tell you. He did it all. Brains. Huh? Oh, then you are the man who risked your life to save the government of France? Well, you medals make you general. Nix on that stuff. The most beautiful girl in the world is waiting for me. She must be. She must be a wonderful to deserve such a man as you, gentlemen. I want you to meet the future Mrs. Boyle. Oink. Ah! Oh boy. Moo. Darling, I knew I'd find you again. Come to Papa. My Cuthbert. My wife. Huh? Oh boy.
My disappointment.
Yeah. Oh boy, just when he thought he found his wife. Oh boy. Don't you just hate that? Get all excited. You get
Can you
all
blame her?
excited and then find out, oh, she's married.
Like, she married a conductor. How do you compete with that?
It's been so long, every minute since I've left Vienna. I've been dreaming of you. But how did he know the government was on the train? Don't let it get you down. My first wife was married 6 times. You may still get her. Shut up. Now take my second wife. She had 3 kids before I got her. But did that discourage me? Blah blah blah. Shut up. Sergeant Boyle every month in Pep Comics.
See, that ending just reinforced what I said about him and his third wife earlier.
And you want to remind us again of that?
About how, like, if he was somebody who actually considered the future, he probably wouldn't have been on his third wife.
Yeah.
Because clearly, you look at all of these, it's like, there's some good signs that I don't think any of these situations are going to work out for you, buddy, especially considering the type of person you are.
Yeah. Well, we're at hour 38 now, and the next 2 stories are like 6 pages each. Should be able to at least get through at least one of them.
Yeah. I did have some problems, though. Every time they kept saying twerp, all I could think of was Jesse and James from Pokemon referring to, like, Ash and them as the twerps.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
We'll be taking that Pikachu now, twerp.
Yeah. Of course, Jesse and James voiced by, Jesse voiced by the late Rachel Lillis in the first few seasons before I think Michelle Knotts eventually took over for her later on in the English dub. And then James originally, I think originally it was Jimmy Zoppi at first, and then Eric Stewart later on.
My favorite voiceover of his too was actually in the game Pokemon Puzzle League for the Nintendo 64, because there is a side mode where you do challenges for Team Rocket, and when you get like a successful clear, you'll hear James go, "I'm feeling giddy," and it's just my favorite line he's ever recorded for the character.
All right. Actually, I do need to go off camera here for a quick moment. I'll be right back. So you can talk to the chair. Let me get at least. Well, I guess we'll start from here. We'll go through the title when I get back, and then we'll get to the first of the two stories in this
Yeah,
book.
then you'll zip on back over here.
Let's see. Let's get this out of the way. By the way, with my side projects, I'm backed up. Backed up on. I don't know when I'm going to have time to Romo and Krim episode 2. All right. Anyways, I'll be right back.
Well, I think the only person I would need to update on that would be Flit, but at this point, I don't think he even cares. It's just been too long. I think, did he give you a deadline of February, which I understand with your computer problems? Completely irrational. I don't think he cares, though. Steel Sterling, Man of Steel. This title is a little redundant, Like his name is Steel, but he's also Man of Steel. There were several Men of Steel around the time. But it's like I like the alliteration of Steel Sterling. At least it's not like Silver Sterling or whatever, because that's what you would expect to be paired with Sterling. But it could have given him like some other name to go with it so that we don't have Steel twice in the title. I don't know. It just bothers me. It's probably not a big deal at all. I don't like it. Yeah, I know you have to rebuild both the models. The whole situation's completely unfortunate. Steel Sterling. I don't know what name we would put there, though. I guess because you don't get the st sound. What are you going to call him? Stu Sterling? Stu just doesn't sound cool in that situation. Good name. I don't think there's any problem with the name Stuart, but it just doesn't sound cool in that situation. Any other, like, ST name somebody could have? Could be a word, too. It could be like Strict Sterling or Strickland Sterling. I know some people. Strickland sounds like a last name, but I've known some people with it as a first name. That's a little too much of a mouthful, though. Stray Sterling? That could be a cool name. I like that name. Man of Steel. I just don't like that it says Steel twice. If I was like the editor of a magazine, Stephen Sterling. Oh, I forgot about, because there's also Steven. Steven would be cool, but Stephen is definitely lesser used. I like that. Yes. Stephen Sterling, Man of Steel would be a good name. Yeah. Because you know what? Everybody's Steve, right? Like Steve was just so common at the time. I was trying to avoid Steve Sterling. I forgot about that variant of the name. I've known a couple Steffens too. Yeah, see that, because if I was like a magazine editor or a newspaper editor, which were most of the editors of these comics at the time, there wasn't much of an industry of people coming in to just be a comic editor as their first time being an editor. They came from either like a newspaper or magazine, which is also where most of the publications of these came from too. I don't like Stanley Sterling, but that would have been an acceptable option. Maybe if I too, because Stan Sterling, if you shortened it, I like Stan Sterling a little bit more. He could have still been Stanley, and then we just shortened it to Stan. But like, if I was coming in as an editor from like a newspaper or a magazine, I'm in charge of comics now. I want to look at the title like I'm looking at a headline, right? I don't like Steel Sterling, Man of Steel. It just says Steel twice.
So you guys are talking about the title there, huh?
Yeah, I was thinking of like other names we could have that still have that st sound, so we get that true alliteration, right, for Sterling. And there was some that came to my mind. I didn't like it. Fizz actually came up with a couple good ones. Stefan. I really like Stefan because like Steve is too common. There's so many Steves out there in comics at the time too, right? Like Steve Rogers. But like Stefan Sterling, it's unique. strong sounding. Stanley, I didn't like Stanley as much, but if we only ever shortened it to Stan Sterling would be great, and we could still have our Stanley. There's a few good ones.
Well, what about throwing in an uncommon name? What about Stern Sterling?
I was thinking of stuff like that too, or like Strict Sterling, because like Strickland is sometimes either a surname or a first name. That one was in there. Stray, like if it was a nickname, Stray Sterling was a good one that came to my mind. There's some good alternatives to having Steel in the title twice.
Right. All right. Well, anyways, let's get to our third story, at least. See how fast we get to that. Well, this will probably be the last story of the night because we're already at hour 45 here. So we got Zip Comics number 9, November, 10 cents. Steel Sterling, Man of Steel. Of course, the product page again.
The other title could be, or like way to do it, is to still keep him Steel Sterling, and then just drop the Man of Steel part. Especially since soon, like we're competing with Superman for Man of Steel at this point, right?
Yeah, I think there are a few here.
Several Men of Steel.
Going with the Man of Steel.
Yeah, I brought that up when I was talking about it. We could just give him some other title and not have to worry about it, and he could still keep the name Steel Sterling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Alrighty then, so here we go. The Scarlet Avenger. Let's see. Let's see. The Scarlet
you want me to read this opening narration? I could do the opening narration pretty fun if you want.
Okay.
Yeah, here we go. The Scarlet Avenger, the man who never smiles, and his beautiful chief operative, Inez Courtney, are two almost legendary figures who swoop down as though from the heavens wherever crime rears its ugly head.
All right. Boy, I have a creepy feeling something's going to happen. Don't make me laugh. A worm couldn't get through us. Say, it must be raining. Something just hit me in the face. Yeah, me too. Suddenly, the entire street is curtained with a searing green gas. I'm dying! Help my face! Then a weird figure leaps straight toward this armored car. And the truck steals away in the confusion, leaving a ghastly scene behind. This is inhuman! Look, Jim, that paper near the curb. Oh, I'm sorry. Look, Jim, that paper near the curb. Ha ha, stupid fools! The world shall hear more of Mr. Nimbus. Yeah, part of the reason I picked this story because I knew we had a villain name here, Mr. Nimbus.
Oh yeah. I'm also noticing, which is very common style and one of my personal favorite aesthetics, we have yet another black-haired lady in a red dress.
Yeah. Jim and Inez scan the paper with keen interest. It's a diagram of the Metropolitan Opera House. The Metropolitan, costly jewels, and ingenious thief. Inez, the Scarlet Avenger, will be there. I understand, Jim. Opening night at the Metropolitan Opera House. Oh, well, we'll probably ask it. A kindly-looking individual approaches the box office. I believe you have a reservation for Mr. Nimbus. Mr. Nimbus. Sorry, sir, there doesn't seem to be any for you. A weird halo of light is emitted from the ring of Mr. Nimbus's finger. The clerk's senses become dulled. He is hypnotized. I'm sure you have a reservation for Mr. Nimbus. Yes, here. Inside the opera house, Mr. Nimbus seems to be surrounded by wealth which will soon change hands. Adora. La 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 la. Suddenly, help! The green gas! My face is burning! Terror sweeps through the audience. Only one keeps his wits. Cool, calm, and collect. That is always the motto for Mr. Nimbus. Hee hee.
This guy likes to refer to himself in the third person, doesn't he?
Yeah, no kidding. The Scarlet Avenger appears on the scene. This liquid will dissolve that deadly corrosive gas. And you notice how they color corrosive gas right there is green? That does seem to be pretty common, doesn't it?
I think it's just because, like, maybe sometimes because of chemical symbols or whatever. Maybe also because of, like, copper corrosion. A lot of people just associate the color green with rotten corrosion.
The Scarlet Avenger dashes into the wings and fetches the fire hose. I've got to quell that riot before someone is hurt. And as for my murdering friend out there in the front, look, my coiffure is ruined. Oh, coiffure, isn't that a hairstyle?
Yeah, I believe so.
Glub, glub, glub. A glub, oh. The Scarlet Avenger the Scarlet Avenger has ruined my plans. Must get out of here. I've got to stop him. Wow, another lady in red getting herself into it.
Well, it's kind of like, the statistics how more speeding tickets are given to people who drive red cars, and some people think it's because the color red makes you more daring, but the more logical situation is that people who are more daring already prefer the color red. So, like, this is already a bunch of daring women, so they naturally kind of prefer that hot-blooded red color.
We're talking about, like, women in red and stuff like that, ladies in red and stuff like that, because we've seen two of them here tonight in the stories we've read. And I don't know if you've ever been with me when we've read, but there actually is. Actually, I don't remember off the top of my head which company did this, But there actually is a feature called The Lady in Red, who is basically like a private detective or police detective or something like that. From around this time. I don't remember which company it was, but
I'm pretty sure I was on when we've read A Lady in Red before.
Okay.
I'm trying to remember as well which one that was. Thrilling Comics, I believe, is what it was.
That might have been it. That might have been it. Yeah, that might have been it. Now that you said that, that might have been it. Like Thrilling, or maybe maybe one of the ones from like Street.
I think she's a Standard
That would
Comics.
be Standard, not Street, because Street and Smith, that's a Shadow. Street and Smith is Shadow. So
okay, yep. I looked up Thrilling Comics. Number 2, main feature, The Woman in Red.
Right. So, anyways, here's the one that did it. It's a Scarlet Avenger. Grab him. Gotcha. At last, you've been getting away long enough with that crime fighting gas. You're just a criminal yourself.
Fizz says, or people may perceive red going faster. Well, we do know from studies that, and it may be a heavily cultural thing, but it's something that's common across most cultures, that red is a color of impulse, right? And it does influence people, which is one of the reasons why specifically Target colors their stores red to try to psychologically get people to make impulse buys. There is some statistical correlation with it. So it could be that people who are more impulsive, so people who are likely to speed or people who are likely to run into danger, might also naturally prefer the color red.
Yeah. Well, and we know what red capes do for animals, right?
Well, yeah, but they also don't see the colors the same way that we do. Like they have different cones and rods in there that they have different color range. It's very peculiar when we talk about red capes and bulls specifically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's more the movement they respond to than the actual color. All right. So, anyways, we continue on. Sorry, I haven't time to argue with you. I'll have to shed my costume quickly and lose myself in the audience. Stop him! I saw him run that way, officer. Thanks. Come on, boys. He won't escape. Meanwhile, Inez is still in pursuit. He's on the roof. Ah, how nice of the Scarlet Avenger to send such lovely company, but I shall send you back not quite so beautiful, my dear. But before Mr. Nimbus can spray the deadly green gas, not so fast, you murdering hound. The Scarlet Avenger.
It's just deadly green gas. Doesn't have a name. It's just like, it's exactly what it looks like. We don't need to be fancy with it.
The Scarlet Avenger again. Both of you shall die. Oof! I think never has the Scarlet Avenger encountered such terrific strength. You shall know the price of thwarting Mr. Nimbus. Again with the third person. But the killer has overlooked the Scarlet Avenger's chief operative. And she just kind of picks up the lady, flips him over, flips over the roof there.
Yeah, which is easy to do when, like, his position, all his weight is already ready to be flipped over.
Yeah! The Scarlet Avenger resumes his civilian identity. The police are on the lookout for the Scarlet Avenger. Come on, Inez. I want to see the dead body of Mr. Nimbus. It is impossible. It is impossible. Not a sign of him. How could he have escaped? I don't know, Inez, but I think that we're going to hear of Mr. Nimbus pretty soon. So we got the promise of a recurring villain here. Wow.
After we just tossed him off a building. It's a pretty hefty promise.
Wow. Yeah, so, and it's already getting, I already know it's already like 2-hour mark, so this is going to definitely be the last story. But yes, Mr. Nimbus will be heard from again, and in a fashion that will send chills up and down for sure, your spine. Don't miss the next issue of Zip Comics. Alrighty then, so...
Are we going to have an undead Mr. Nimbus?
Well, it's funny because we've seen this in these early days of comics, we'd have some of these recurring villains, where they'll seem to have died, but somehow escape death from these have these death-defying escapes. I mean, one villain that comes to mind, and we haven't necessarily hit him yet. We have hit him. Was Ultra Humanite in some of the earlier events of Action Comics. So,
and also sometimes using the idea that you died can be strong. Like he could still be alive. He's like, I'm gonna come back and make you think I'm a ghost or whatever to make it harder for you to stop me, right?
Mm-hmm.
But one thing I was just thinking of.
Well, let's look at another thing too. His name, right, Mr. Nimbus. But what exactly is a nimbus after all?
Oh, those are low-flying, typically water-bearing clouds.
Right. So, considering his name, maybe he'll come back as a cloud, or somebody can morph into a cloud.
Yeah, maybe. But going off of like what Fizz was saying too, is like cattle can't even see red properly. I was thinking of the fact that the Scarlet Avenger has a red and green outfit. It's like, if you were colorblind, his outfit wouldn't even look like they were complementary colors or anything. They might look like they was just the same color. Same with like him and Inez. They'd be like, oh, I get your outfits. You match. If you were like red, green colorblind specifically.
Yeah. All right. So anyways, and I don't know if I ever did get around to asking you what your impressions of the last story were. Did I or no?
No, because you went off camera like immediately afterwards, so
Okay.
we never even talked about it. But we're getting to the point where you're gonna ask me about all the stories, so we could do a comprehensive wrap up if you want.
Yeah. Well, why don't we do that? Well, let's just move on since let's move on to the portion so. We did read 3 features tonight, 3 of the 4 that we were going to attempt to. So, out of the 3 that we read tonight, Metal, which feature did you like? Did you either like the most or made the best impression, and why?
Well, this is a tough one. And this happens to be the case when we get to publishers like Archie. Overall, this was a stronger set than average. I think all 3 of the stories were pretty good on their own. They were pretty strong. So I think probably it's going to come down to some certain personal tastes and stuff. Mm-hmm. The strongest story might have been the S.H.I.E.L.D. story, but I think I'm forgetting the name already. I liked the war story in the middle the most.
Sergeant Boyle.
Sergeant Boyle, and it's probably just because I like trains. I think there might be some bias there that I just really like trains. But it was also funny. I like the humor in it too, especially the ending where it's like I kind of figured she probably had somebody waiting for her because of how much he was doting on her, and they were playing into the humor quite a bit throughout it. But it was a very humorous story. I liked the humor.
So So then, between those two, then because apparently it's going to be one of those.
No, I'm going with Boyle. I'm
What?
also a guy that like I happen to really like humor in my stories. It's not like the only type of story I like, but a lot of times I'm gonna end up liking the more humorous thing more than the thing that's like a little more straightforward and actiony.
All right. All right. So
I think
Sergeant.
that shows from the stories I write.
Yeah. So Sergeant Boyle is the one you like the best. Now, of course, now the the counter here. So of the two remaining stories, then, and I have a feeling based on what we were just talking about, I have a feeling I know what's coming here. So the two remaining stories, which one did you either like the least or made the least impression, and why?
So while going back to what I just said, I think the Shield was probably the stronger story. I actually think I like the Scarlet Avenger slightly more. So the Shield is the one that made the least impression.
Okay.
And again, that just goes back to personal tastes. The Scarlet Adventure just had a little bit more going on in the story. Both of them were very similar stories, too. But it was a little more interesting with the clash of Nimbus compared to what was going on in the Shield. Both of them were supposed to have like smarter villains that are trying to like outclass them. But like the Shield's situation where how he solved the problem was just a little bit more straightforward. In fact, like, yeah, you could put like a wall between me, you could do whatever. I'm just gonna walk right through it anyway.
Well,
I think that it was just it was a stronger action story. It was just less interesting to me.
right. Well, the Shield was the longest story. I think it was something like 12, 13 pages.
Yeah.
Sergeant Boyle was 7 pages, and then Scarlet Avenger was 6, and we got the Scarlet Avenger pretty quick. So
yeah, but you know, going through it quick though, it had a lot going for it, and as far as my interests go with the story, they're all strong stories though. This was like a really good roster that we picked.
this is one. Well, this is probably one of those weeks, and we've talked about this before, where we've had some weeks where you couldn't really differentiate. Because we've had some weeks where all the stories were good, and you really couldn't differentiate between.
Yeah, and a lot of times it does matter on the publisher. Like some publishers are just consistently stronger than others. Like whenever I'm here on Shadow, I know that they're always pulling out the best stuff. That's like a premium comic right there with Shadow Comics. Archie stuff, they were a really good publisher from the outset. You know, even before Archie comes around,
even before they debuted their title character there.
Yeah, like they were just strong, came out swinging.
Yeah. Well, some of the heroes there, like Shield, Wizard, Steel Sterling, Scarlet Avenger, among others.
Yeah, I can't remember the name of the what was it? It was like the Moldovan Terror, or I can't remember what it was, but we were covering like an arc with some of these characters before that, and like that's super early on, really strong arc. It was probably one of the most ambitious things at the time that they did.
I think it was called the Moravian Marauders. It was the story
or something like that, but we were covering like it was a war arc where it was covering like basically their version of the early part of World War II. Right. When we weren't even getting involved in it yet. But they were juggling all their characters. It was not so much a crossover, but it was like an event where it's like they would hand it off and like in a relay race. Now what's going on with this character during this time?
Right. Yeah, and that's one of the reasons why I picked the story, because it was more of an arc there, and I figured it would be quite interesting to read. You know,
and it's like
you had the Shield, you had the Wizard, the Midshipman, and Corporal Collins were I think the four features that were highlighted in that story arc.
Yeah, and it's like Archie they already are putting the budget into hiring the best people from the beginning. Like they're just knocking it out of the park. Even when we're not in an event like that, we're just like the regular stories for the characters. It's like they just have like the best people working on their stuff for the time.
All right then. Well, now, of course, now that we got through all the reading and stuff, as we now get ready to wind things down. Today, of course, is Sunday, June 7th, 2026. I know Netsuri will probably say it as well. Do you know what time it is, Metal?
Well, I think we're going to this weekend in Nietzsche history, aren't we?
Correct. This week. So let's get caught up on what happened on this date, or this weekend, rather, in Nietzsche history. So the first thing I would actually like to do is wish a happy 50th birthday to, let me pull that up here, Canadian actress and singer. Oh wait, wrong thing, Mike. Wrong one, Mike. We're not there yet. Let's go to wish a happy, and there goes Netsuri history. Yep. All right, so I'd like to wish a happy 50th birthday to Canadian singer and actress Emilie-Claire Barlow. Among her voice, and she's covered in both the anime and animation aspects here. Of course, she's most notable for being the second voice of both Sailor Mars and Sailor Venus in the English dub in the original English dub of Sailor Moon. She took over towards the end of, I believe, she took over for Sailor Mars, I think, in the latter half of Sailor Moon, or Sailor Moon, or the Deeks dub of Sailor Moon, or Sailor Moon R. And then when Cloveway took over the dubbing of Sailor Moon back in the 90s there, and Katie Griffin came back to reprise her role as Sailor Mars, Emilie-Claire Barlow took over the role of Sailor Venus from Stephanie Morgenstern. She also is Courtney in the Total Drama franchise as well as being Alice Gehavich in Bakugan Battle Brawlers. So happy 50th birthday to Canadian singer and actress Emilie-Claire Barlow. Any thoughts on that there, Metal?
Not too many thoughts. I mean, great voiceover when she did it. I'm just not a huge fan of the original like Sailor Moon dub specifically.
Oh, I know a lot of people have some major criticisms about it.
I appreciate that it brought it to us, but I prefer the later redub. That's more accurate.
The Viz dub, yeah.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people do. I think a lot of that has to do with what was considered the Bowderization of the dub.
Yeah,
And trying to make it a more kid-friendly dub, they kind of like, I mean, they didn't do it as badly as they did, let's say, with the Gatchaman series when in the 70s when they turned that into Battle of the Planets, where they actually had to add an element in that.
But there was a lot of sanitization, especially because, like, listen, Sailor Moon.
Yeah, Sailor Moon.
It's pretty gay. Like the actual story, it's pretty gay. They tried to take all the gay out of Sailor Moon.
Well, it wasn't just that, but even
there's several other elements too, and they changed names to localize it.
Even the first arc there, the Dark Moon or the Dark Kingdom of basically the one with Queen Beryl and Zoisite.
Yeah.
I mean, there wasn't just even in that the gay storyline between Zoisite and they actually made Zoisite into a male or to a female character. He was actually originally a male character.
Yeah.
With that, but there was also the fact that they toned down the demise scenes later on. There
were so many things that were sanitized in that version.
But again, a lot of that was due to the fact they were trying to make it more kid-friendly, too.
Yeah, but it depends what you... like your definition of kid-friendly, right? It was meeting very specific standards of the time that it came out for very specific networks. But it's like, I still appreciate that it brought it to us, We just have better options now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Change lesbian because that's right. That came in the S arc with Neptune and Uranus. Oh boy, Uranus. Well, another way of saying it, of course, Uranus.
Or if you want to pronounce it like the god's original name, Uranus, but they never said it that way in either version.
I love gay Yuri animes.
Yeah, I actually do too.
Cardcaptor Sakura was even more sanitized in its original dub. Yeah, well, I would say, from what I understand, particularly this, and Cardcaptor Sakura came out as part of the Kids W stuff too. A lot of that stuff was more sanitized, but again, it goes back to the idea was they were basically trying to quote unquote make it more quote unquote kid friendly too.
Yeah, the more especially the more 4Kids got involved in stuff, the more sanitized things were in general. That's why they call it's the version for kids. I was watching Magical Girl that 2004 isn't so sanitized. I was showing some friends it, and it was the original Futari wa Pretty Cure, right? Or the first season of Pretty Cure. The only problem with that one is it did still have very localized names, right? Like they changed what's it? Nagima to Nat and Honoka to like Hannah. Right? So like the only character whose name survived was her dog, which was I think Chutaro. Is the only one that got to keep a Japanese name, even though this is clearly taking place in Japan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, they did like a lot of the pre.
Oh no, so it was Nagisa.
A lot of dubs, a lot of English dubs they did prior, I'd say, to 2010 at least, maybe even earlier. They would do that a lot with animes. Like definitely throughout the 70s, 80s, and 90s. They would change the names up. So, anyways, moving on to the next.
Yeah, but it's Sailor Moon, right? It's like they changed Usagi to Serena, which if you're going to, fair, because at least Serena's the name of the moon, right? Like that's better than just some other name, but
well, yeah, and you had like you had a couple others there that were pretty close to Ray and Ray, Ray REI and then Ray RAYE.
Yeah, some of them were pretty easy to do.
Yeah. And then Ami and Amy, AMI, but they like making the transition from like Makoto to Lita.
Oh yeah, that one's because Makoto's my favorite out of all of them. It's like I don't like her English name at all.
Yeah, and then Minako to Mino is probably not as
yeah, because you could kind of get that out of that as like a nickname, sort of. It's just Makoto's like that's I think the most different because at least even though you could argue it's as different as Serena's, right? It's like, but at least they still used one of the names of the moon. So it's like there's some theme. There's like nothing really going on with Makoto's change, other than like they liked the name.
Yeah. Well, it might have been too. They might have just tried to make it simpler for everybody. Lita and Mina kind of sound alike, in a way. But, anyways, moving on with the next piece of Nietzsche history, of course, as we head back 80 years ago today, going back to 1946 on today's date. In 1946. The 50th issue of True Crimes and Parents Magazine group went on sale on this date back in 1946. It sold for 10 cents. It's 48 pages. So the 50th issue of True Crimes from Parents Magazine group went on sale on this date. Of course, some of the stories included 10 Coat Tommy, Magic Fuse, and Lumber Pirates. So there we go with that. Keep in mind, in Cardcaptor Sakura, everyone was bisexual, even the men. Alrighty then. So now, and moving on to the last piece, moving ahead to the year 1966, 60 years ago today. On this date, 60 years ago today. Edouard Carpentier wins the ASW, or All-Star Wrestling World title, from Hans Schmidt in Quebec City, Quebec, on this date 60 years ago today. So 60 years ago today, Edouard Carpentier defeated Hans Schmidt in Quebec City, Quebec, for the All-Star Wrestling World title. Now, initially, when I reported on this the other day, I thought it was the All-Star Wrestling out of Vancouver, but I guess based on this, it's not. It's the All-Star Wrestling based out of Eastern Canada, maybe either in the Quebec area or even further east. So, alrighty then. So, with that being said, let's see. Life's too short to be straight.
All right. If you say so, that's to each their own. I mean, like, I can't complain. I'm a pretty straight guy, but I do enjoy a lot of the like Yuri and Yaoi stories, though. They're really fun.
Thanks for the show tonight, Metal Mike. Hey, no problem. I always like to do the best I can with what I got, as I always say. All right, so before we head out, Metal, would you like to share anything before we leave? Promote anything you're doing this week, or let people know about anything, any projects coming up? I think you know the shtick, right?
Yeah, the only thing I'm promoting, well, because I'm neck deep in it, is xdynamischaos.com, because I'm working on that TTRPG. So everybody could go over to X Dynamis Chaos. There's a lot of pages for the rule set and stuff already up there. It's just not complete, so you can't like really run anything yet. I'm prioritizing the things that we need for me to start running the beta, the demo campaign. But then once we're running it, I'll get all the other stuff in the rulebook that's missing up there too. It's just try to get things going as soon as possible. But also there's a bunch of other stuff on their comics, web novels, lore pages, and things that people can enjoy, including, if you like stuff with more of that, say, like almost Irish accent across the pond, you can always read The Bodacious Bikini Battle Babes of Brutus Bay. I got a lot of options for different people. It's even a little magical girly.
All right.
But that's it. That's all I'm promoting.
All right. Well, if you can stick around for just a couple of minutes after the show for post-show, that'd be appreciated. So with that, I thank everybody for being here tonight. I hope everybody enjoyed the show. And, of course, I'll be back here tomorrow night with more Niche News. Let's see. Next week, I believe I'll have Rick Piper with me from Cross Comics. I think he will be the 14th. So, So with that, I thank you all for being here tonight, and I hope to see everybody back here tomorrow. Bye.